Good afternoon, everyone. If we can please sit down and we can start. Good afternoon, distinguished participants to this, what I believe to be one of the most important drivers in Uzbek economy, which is mining. It's a privilege to welcome you today to this discussion of why Uzbekistan is one of the destinations for investors in the mining industry. I'd like to introduce our panel members. We're pleased to begin with remarks from our First Deputy Minister of Mining, Industry, and Geology, Mr. Omanullah Nasrettin Hojayev. We will be followed by Eugene, First Deputy Chairman of Navoy Gold. Benoit Lemon, CEO of Nulicom Mining. Darius Leninsky, Global Product Manager at FL Schmidt. Russ Alistair, CEO of Peel & Hunt. Agop Kakramanyan from EBRD. And Emre Koyshoğlu, CEO of Esan. Mr. Nasrettin Hojayev, if we can have your opening remarks to start this session, that would be wonderful.
Good morning, and thank you very much for your introduction. We've, as you know, we spoke about this topic yesterday very thoroughly, and I guess today we'll be taking a broader perspective on the mining industry of Uzbekistan in general. You've rightly pointed out it's one of the key drivers. Big contributor to public budget, big contributor to the industrial output, the biggest probably exporter. And we believe what makes this industry very appealing and so dynamically growing is a mix of four major factors. One is very robust, and with recent law on subsoil, our legal framework is very strong and very well established. We kind of worked on this with our partners from the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, and new law passed last year was a big achievement. So now we continue working with EBRD on this, on operationalization of this law by developing a wide set of sub-law documentation, specific regulations that sector would be using going forward. We are very competitively positioned in terms of the overall tax burden in mining. We ran international benchmarking study recently, and based on this benchmarking study, we understand that the tax burden on mining companies in Uzbekistan is less of a burden compared to most of our peers, if not all peers. So we definitely understand that in region our tax burden is the lowest. And with the decision that His Excellency, the President of Uzbekistan, Mirziyoyev, has announced day before yesterday on special mining rights tax, our competitiveness on that front will be even stronger. We, as you well know, Uzbekistan boasts very strong natural resource base, and rankings are well known in gold, copper, uranium, as well as we hope in mineral resources. But what is interesting is that those rankings are achieved based only on about 1/3 of our territory being geologically explored. And now we are working on a program that would focus on the additional areas. We will be launching massive geological exploration program, primary geological exploration programs in those areas that were not covered before, and we expect that going forward our resource base will further widen. And last but not least, Uzbekistan has a very well established and very strong mining culture. As you all well know, and this mining culture is developing further, so it's not only represented by our very strong state-owned enterprises in gold, copper, uranium, but I'm very pleased to see that we will be hearing also from new entrants in this mining universe of Uzbekistan. So what I'm trying to say is that we're not new to mining. So mining culture exists here for many years. We have very strong, very mature, very well established, very well managed assets, internationally recognized. So with this, we obviously have a very wide pool of talent, very deep institutional knowledge of mining, which further helps us to become what we like to say a mining hub of the Central Asia. I would stop here.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I fully agree with the Deputy Minister on the potential for Uzbekistan, and one of the drivers of that mining industry is Novoy Gold. And Eugene, if you could tell us a little bit about Novoy Gold and the recent developments.
Sure, thank you. I have a few slides to show, but I understand they're being loaded. Can someone take a look at the slides?
There you go.
There we go. So yes, of course, following what was just said by Deputy Minister, Novoy Gold Mining Company, of course, is a major player, not only in the mining sector of Uzbekistan, but also in Uzbekistan's economy. Just to give you some context, for the first time in our history, last year we produced gold exceeding 3 million ounces, 3.1 million ounces to be exact, which is a significant achievement, considering that we have increased our gold production over the last 7 years by 30%. Our resource base is huge. It's almost 150 million ounces of resources, which gives us comfortably over 50 years of remaining mine life, which is very good by all standards. Most mining companies are bragging when they have 15, 20. So we have almost double that. And our revenue, of course, we benefit from all-time record high gold prices, as well as increase in production. So we had a record revenue recorded last year of $7.4 billion US. And we had quite profitable because our EBITDA margin is also over 60%. And our EBITDA last year was $4.6 billion US. We're also proud to be one of the lowest cost gold producers globally. Last year, our all-in sustaining cost was $979 per ounce, which is second compared to our peers. The only other company that has lower is the Russian Polus. So, and we're a fully integrated company. We do exploration, we do mine construction, we operate the mines, and we even have our own refinery that's producing gold bars that have a good delivery status from LBMA. So full cycle company. All of our operations are currently in Uzbekistan, and we operate 12 large mine sites, and we have 9 processing facilities. And of course, I must mention our flagship asset, Muruntau, world-renowned Muruntau mine, which is considered to be the largest open-pit gold mine in the world. It's huge. It's 4 by 5 kilometers wide, and obviously can be seen from space. And that's where over 70% of our resource base is located. And of course, we are a big contributor to the economy of Uzbekistan. We are the largest taxpayer, one of the largest employers. We have 47,000 employees, and our contribution to the country's GDP is 6.5%. Now, of course, when we are such a large company, of course, we have to be mindful of not only being an efficient and profitable gold producer, but also a sustainable gold producer. Not only this is important for the investors, which we see more and more often as we integrate with international capital markets, but first and foremost, we have to do it for our own people. As we heard yesterday during a strategic session held by Saida Mirziyoyeva, all our investment efforts primarily have to be aimed at increasing the well-being of our people in Uzbekistan. And one of our priorities, of course, is environmental. We're setting targets for our emissions. Mining is always perceived to be one of the environmentally unfriendly industries across the world, and that's why most mining companies, including ourselves, are devoting lots of effort and attention to change that stereotype, because we can be developing sustainably and responsibly. And right now we're in the process of setting our targets, emission targets, and following those targets. We also exploring opportunities to increase our renewable energy sources. By the end of this year, our total energy consumption from renewable sources will be in excess of 20% of our total consumption. And again, of course, being a mining company, well-being and safety of our employees is of high priority to us. And for that purpose, we're developing very robust training programs. Every year we train and retrain over 15,000 employees on how to behave safely. We're implementing various digital and technological solutions to monitor that. But it's also important to spread the safety culture across our employees. And as we know, the tone is always set from the top, and everyone in our management, including the CEO, is very passionate about safety and improving our safety targets. And that's you cannot be complacent. Even one incident is one too many. So we have adopted zero tolerance position towards this. We also engage heavily with our communities because, as I said, we're one of the largest employers, and we operate sometimes in very remote areas where there are some villages and small townships, and we engage with those communities quite a lot, including the management. Like I personally travel to meet with the communities and hear their concerns and address their concerns on a regular basis as well. And I also like to share that earlier this year we obtained our first ESG rating. We were the first mining company in the country to obtain one, and it's at good level, consistent with major mining companies globally. But it also helped us to, not to just determine what we need to do, but also kind of get a a third-party independent review of how well we're doing. And of course, there are some gaps that always exist, and we're focusing on addressing those gaps. We have, a few years ago, we have implemented our sustainability report, and we publish it every year, which is perceived very, very well by the investors community. They like seeing those reports. We have increased last year our board independence by introducing 2 new independent members. We're aligning with our GMP principles and even partnering with the World Gold Council to help us to go through this action plan. And we have set up last year a dedicated ESG department that's focusing primarily on these objectives. And just a few words on, I mentioned the renewable energy. We're also targeting 36 million cubic meters of fresh water usage reduction by 2030. And we are investing quite significantly in our community sponsorship programs. For example, over the last years, we spent over $200 million for that purpose. I would also like to mention an important aspect that we were the first company in Uzbekistan to become an official supporter of international women in mining, because we do have, over 15% of our workforce are women, and of course we want to support them to develop, to grow in their careers, break the stereotypes that they can not just be accountants, but they can be professionals across all disciplines that exist in our company. Those are a few words about Navoy. Thank you.
Thank you, Eugene. 6.5% contribution to GDP. Not just talk about ESG, but active searching and fostering the sustainability goals through ratings with Sustainable Fitch. But there is another success story. Tell us about the 1 billion euro bond issuance with 5.5 times subscription.
Yes, this was quite an achievement. It was our debut bond issue last year when we issued 2 tranches of $500 million each. And it was indeed great success, especially considering that it was for the first time when we did this. And actually last year we also obtained our first credit rating, which is unique in a way that while the overall rating was in line with sovereign, BB-, our standalone rating was assigned 2 notches higher, signifying the confidence that creditors have in the company and its ability to meet its financial obligations. And indeed, last year it was great success, and I think it was success not only for the company, but for the country, because of course, being the largest company in the country, it's our obligation to pave the way for all other companies in Uzbekistan to get access to affordable international funding so they can advance their own investment projects. It's very important. And by the way, since then we also issued another bond just a couple of months ago, also in London, and it was also very successful. It was 500 million, issued at a coupon rate of 6.75%, which was even lower than the sovereign, the rate at the time of sovereign bonds. So it's again just signifies the profile of the company and the importance of the company for the economy.
Again, congratulations, Aman. That's a huge success that basically demonstrate not only belief and confidence in Navoy Gold's vision, but also that recognizes Uzbekistan as one of the mining destinations as well. Benoit, you established a partnership. If you could tell us about that journey.
Yes, hello, good day everybody. So I'm General Director of Nurlinkum Mining. Nurlinkum Mining is a joint venture between Orano Mining from France and Navoyuran from Uzbekistan. This company was created in December 2019, so a little bit more than 5 years ago. And at that time we were granted with 2 exploration licenses. Sorry, is it better like this? Yeah, sorry. At that time, so we were granted with 2 exploration licenses. I forgot to say we are in uranium mining. Yeah? We are mining uranium. And so within these 5 years, we did exploration, more than 200,000 meters of exploration drilling. We did a pilot in order to make sure that it was possible to produce uranium from this deposit. We signed recently an important agreement with our partner Navoyuran and with another partner who is going to join us as well. So, if we look at the situation now, the deposit of Saz Jengeldi is almost ready to take the decision. So we are going to take a decision to mine very soon, maybe in the coming weeks, months, but definitely before the end of this year. So it means that from the day we arrive on the decision to mine, it will be less than 6 years, which is actually, for people who knows what is mining investment, is not so bad. So this is the project as it is today.
Thank you, Benoit. Russ, I'm going to leave you to the last. Agop, also, I'm going to leave you to the last. And Emre, if you could tell us, you chose Uzbekistan as one of your investment destinations. If you could tell us about that journey.
Yes, actually, we have been started drilling in our operations in Jizak region, in Uchkulash project. This is a zinc and lead project which was operated as open pit in the Soviet times. And we have been also considering further opportunities for underground mining as well, because almost the open pit mining has been finished, the reserves has been finished, but we see a very good data from the drillings, so we have been trying to improve the metallurgical beneficiation of the ore, which we think that going to be also good because the technology has been improving. We are also working on the grinding solutions to improve our recoveries. But first of all, the reason that we had think that the Uzbekistan is going to be a good location to invest is because we see a really big change, especially in the legislations. In Uzbekistan, recently updated and had made a reform on their mining laws, almost like the ones in Kazakhstan back in 2018, which we believe that it's going to bring more investors, more international giant mining companies to invest in Uzbekistan. The interest is, I think, going to come very quickly, very rapidly in the interest. So we believe that Uzbekistan is also improving the standards, their standards to international levels. As we are discussing with EBRD, is also here to support them with bringing them into their international standards. Is going to really help international investors to interest in Uzbekistan, and we are really happy about what we had achieved. We had, as we were the first comer, we had some difficulties. Let me say not difficulties, but as being a first comer, we have to find out together with the mining ministry how to move forward. So they also supported us while we are moving ahead. So thanks to them, and I think what we had brought to Uzbekistan together with the mining ministry is going to support the new comers for investments.
Thank you, Emre. Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of which jurisdiction, regardless of how good the project is, accessing capital in the mining industry is challenging. But at the same time, the sources of capital also, they need to have certain focus, and there's always competition between jurisdictions and projects. So when we look at the sources of capital, their focus area sometimes changes, and when you see that focus area in a certain jurisdiction, obviously that is one of the investment destinations. So following up with that, Agop, EBRD is here. Why is EBRD here?
Thank you, Han. Good afternoon, colleagues. Before answering to your question why EBRD is here, I'll probably say a few words about the bank. The European Bank for Reconstruction and Development is an international financial institution established in the very beginning of 90s, in 1991, to support the Eastern European countries in their transition to market economy. Since then, the bank has significantly expanded and now operates in more than 40 countries in Eastern Europe, in Central Asia, Turkey, Balkans, Middle East, North Africa, and starting from last year, Sub-Saharan Africa. We support the company's projects across all sectors of economy, and apparently in certain countries, mining, due to its importance for the economies of those countries, are very important also for us. We provide debt and equity financing, and we also work with the governments to improve the mining legislation. A very good example is our cooperation with the government of Uzbekistan, in particular with the Ministry of Geology and Mining and Geology, to improve the mining legislation, which resulted in a new subsoil use code, a very modern, very progressive, and very transparent, making the sector even more attractive for local and foreign investors. But this is the first step, and we will be continuing working with the ministry, as Mr. Deputy Minister mentioned yesterday, to operationalize that law, meaning adopting new sub-laws and capacity building, etc., etc. This is a work for the next 6 to 12 months. So we believe in 12 months this will result in the sector being more and more attractive.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Agop. Ross, you have quite a bit of experience in the capital markets, in the sources of capital, the way they're deployed, their availability. Well, what's your view on Uzbekistan?
Thanks, and it's a pleasure and privilege to be here. It's my first trip to Uzbekistan, and I'd heard a lot of good things, but it's great to be able to say that expectations have been exceeded when I've been here. And just to say, one fantastic achievement I wasn't aware of was Uzbekistan qualifying for the World Cup next year. I'm Scottish, we're not very good at football, so when we inevitably don't qualify, I know who to support next year. Maybe again, just to give some context on Peel Hunt, we are a UK independent investment bank. We act for around 150 companies that are listed on the London Stock Exchange. Fundamentally, our job is to promote those companies to a broad range of different investors. We do that through compelling research, sales desks in London, New York, Copenhagen, Abu Dhabi, and then ultimately we raise capital for those companies. So we've raised £17 billion for our clients since 2017. We've also advised them on $11 billion or £11 billion worth of M&A in the last couple of years. So I run the M&A team, the mining team. I've got clients that operate and produce commodities sustainably in 5 different continents, including Kazakhstan, South Africa, Mozambique, Peru, Brazil, various different emerging market economies. And when investors look at the investment opportunities, a lot of it is the prospects for the company, how they comply with sustainability metrics, but also the country itself. And I think there's a fantastic story to tell here that will resonate with investors. I think it's still a little bit under the radar, notwithstanding some of the successes we've had. One of our other clients in a different sector, TBC Bank, it obviously has large operations here and is at the conference. Our sales team have been out, and then they'll go back to London and they'll promote the country as well as the company to those investors. So I think lots of the things that we're talking about today is about opening up to international capital, international investors, and there's a trickle effect or a ripple effect as you go back to those different jurisdictions and spread the word. In terms of accessing capital itself, it very much depends on the stage of development of an individual company. There's a famous piece of analysis called the Lassonde curve in mining, which looks at the different valuations, risks, and therefore different stages in the mining development cycle. So for earlier, you will have access to risk equity and then joint ventures with selecting the finance. You'll have access to a broader range of equity investors and to a much broader range of equity investors and global capital fundamentally. But as you move through that curve, you
Private and publicly listed exploration companies in the world. Majority of Uzbekistan is. What would your message be to those different jurisdictions? Would you Uzbekistan help Uzbekistan investigate their potential? Would perhaps Uzbekistan help Uzbekistan investigate their potential? Would perhaps
we do have wide group of operating in Uzbekistan. So at the moment we portfolio of about 30 projects, an element of exploration. So it's not come to this market and operate. Are operating an industry with some unknown, an industry with some unknowns. So this is quite natural. In fact, new deposits and perspective where additional resource definition is required. Esan, they are busy with mostly dealing with exploration. Yes. Exploration. So exploration-wise, opportunity is there, but 30 deposits and invited to participate in those auctions, and come materializes. 30, I'm talking about and the like. So this is pretty new. What I was referring to as mostly refers to covering or exploration of resources are still to be identified. That's where we participate, but we still understand that this would require a lot of investment into this exploration, because this is a very, very early stage exploration. And defining our further strategy on whether on how to, resources going forward. We might be working together with, for example, defining it, and by managing explorers can join along the way.
It looks like your challenge is not additional resources and reserve already defined, but we all know one of the biggest challenges that we build, and you talked about that a bit, but I'd like you to expand that. Obviously you need excessive amount of human resources. And what lessons learned can you share with us?
Indeed, when we talk about globally, of course it's a resource globally. Of course it's resources as well. There's a scarcity, but even to very strong competencies with the global markets, right? In order to stay competitive, we must what Navoy is doing. We, as I mentioned, in development, we teaming up with where we play a big role. Because I worked in many countries for different companies, is that we do have lots of young talent. Find that in many other countries, because let's face it, attractive to youth, especially with the rise of we see the opposite. We feel very to actively because clearly technologies, approaches, methods, partnering with many other international companies, whether new technologies, processing methods, mining methods, some really strong expertise coming from the role of consultants is limited unless you have internal bench strength. Consultants. So that's where our focus is on continuing to train.
One of the other challenges in the mining industry, as we all know, established the JUMP program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. A few minutes ago, EBRD finances projects. And companies in the mining sector. Our main focus were projects that were feasibility study stage or the bank's board decided to take more risk. BRD, which is called to take more risk. BRD, which is called Junior Mining Program. junior mining program. Early stage companies, juniors, preparing pre-feasibility studies, environmental studies. So this is a 100 million euro materials, but apparently any program. The idea is to invest in 20%. That's the limit, and finance the. A very good example of the graphite, an investment we made last year in Kazakhstan. There's a natural graphite deposit in Kazakhstan, in the world. So we provide 3.5 million in the world. So we provide 3.5 with the feasibility study. The minimum requirement prepared by a prominent, competent person.
Thank you. Back to you. Uranium. Back to you. Uranium, something dangerous. What type of measures? Something dangerous. What type of measures do you take, particularly in your operations, your approach to?
Thank you for this question. Is HAC? Thank you for this question. Is HAC not only environment but also health and safety are really key for. Not only environment but also health and safety are really key for Orano. It's priority number one. It's really part of our DNA. And each time we start a new project in a new country, it's a real challenge, right? So if I can give you some positive, is very positive. As it was mentioned by the Vice Minister, for more than 60 years ago with a strong experience. For more than 60 years ago with a strong experience, so you can find people who arrive HAC, all these things. After 5 years, what we can say in Norlinkum mining in this project, which is equivalent to 1.5 million hours without accident. So I possible, and the people in the country are really
for that. Darius, FL Schmidt provided studies, but we're very close to a jurisdiction in those areas. So what are the positive differentiators of FL?
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. For those who is the largest equipment and technology of mineral processing. With experience, we can come to the mining market in the world right now, provide our experience, and this is we work with much lower at the provide and water is probably one of the resources which are necessary for we will be able to all the mining companies to develop all the resources.
Thank you for that. First step, you're operating in Uzbekistan. Explored region is in your future business plans.
Actually, we have been considering to, but the first thing that we are willing to do is to prove that once we settle and invest willing to explore further. Also, Esan is one of the opportunities in industrial mines such as feldspar, bentonite. These are the other targets that we are planning for the future. But we have been already drilled 6,000 meters. We will complete the total project with 30,000. Our investment, hopefully. Also underground operation. In addition to that, I also would like to ask a question. On the first day of the opening ceremony, Mirzoyev mentioned about the incentives, such as 10. We can maybe hear from the first and mining legislation will bring to have.
Are you asking what?
No,
to make sure that I
actually, President, His Excellency is going to come with the new any advantages or incentives.
We taxation-wise, and we discussed this with your company before. Ran numbers, so we both know what we're talking about.
Bring the this.
Okay, sure. Is it better now?
Yes.
So we believe we are very competitive in terms of the overall tax burden in mining. What taxation benefit was announced by of Uzbekistan was a special mining rights tax. And what I said in the beginning is that that once the mechanism for this refund is fully enacted, this will be our competitiveness in terms of taxation. But overall, other mining destinations that we compete for in terms of, it referred to, it was related to spice.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. In my mining background, when you look at jurisdictions, taxation is important. Royalty. That is, you decide as an investor to go to a jurisdiction. It's going to be one of the top 10 copper producers. Percent of the country is being explored. Most of it is not much. I like you mentioned that Uzbekistan is not really. Is that right?
To an extent, yes.
Yeah. So, what would you suggest? Have been in Uzbekistan and see the potential. What?
I do think success stories breed debate and process that's ongoing. Opportunity to market not just an individual company, but the country as a whole. But it's not just about getting some headlines in the press and ringing. There's a long process where you will go out and see, as a company, you will have research analysts from investment banks, writing, but also the jurisdiction, and educating those investors. And investors don't just deploy their capital and then forget about it and think about the company going forward, but also the geopolitical development. So an IPO or a privatization process a country to get people up to speed with it. A country to get people up to speed with it as well. And I would say as well that if you then have if everything goes to plan, you can see there's a success story. Do that, and it increases profile exponentially after that as well.
State-owned enterprises basically. I talk a lot about partnership. If you could areas of partnership.
Thank you. Well established mining industries in Uzbekistan. Capacities doubling, tripling at some. Doubling our capacity in copper next year. 2030. So now increasing its output, as Yevgeny adding uranium-wise, there are huge plans for uranium. Is working on. So what we're seeing a lot of dynamics in this dynamics. So, and those opportunities, they mostly are that are growing. Our priority. What we are looking for is investment, and what we are looking for is to generate as much value domestically, economically justified. And we're speaking about upstream and downstream. We do have very good examples in from zero, and we want to is copper. So more than of copper that Uzbekistan mines per year is in a form of copper cathode goods or consumed domestically. All those days, critical minerals. So that's exactly where creation to happen, right? Capital, it's important, of course, and now we know how capital of mining project cycle. But what is important to products, what is the end product that we can produce domestically, create revenues, etc. So
We have heard some observations based on my past experience. Uzbekistan is growing 6.5% 7 years. 6.5% year on year of that is mining. An area that needs a focus. Add to that, one of the biggest gold producers. Contribution to world uranium production, and newly forced to that. So now investigate that. I mean, that's the evidence is right here. Sources, you have heard from Eugene that the great deal of excitement, eager to learn, and on top of that, I think clearly you have heard partnership principle here. In mining, this will be the destination I will be spending my time. Gain some information perhaps you didn't have before. Thank you for coming.